this is Carmen Perez. I am the Wellbeing Messenger and the creator of Effortless Living Online, the lifestyle blog for working women who want to reclaim their time, calm their chaos so they can transform the way that they experience the world. And I'm so excited here because I am sitting with Jodi Aman, and we're doing an interview via Skype. And she has been a psychotherapist for 20 years, and now she has gone from hiding under the covers and running out of meetings to transforming lives through her speaking and videos. Jodi has been there. She understands, and she helps you make sense of life's chaos, teaching you how to keep calm, feel peace, and master happiness in your life. Despite seeing the depths of hell when she was immobilized by panic and anxiety in her young adulthood, she clawed her way back to life and taught herself to create peace in her days. She shares her story in her best-selling book, You Won, Anxiety Zero, which you've probably been seeing me share all over the place. Win your freedom back from fear and panic to keep calm in a crazy world. And in it, she shows you how to shift your thinking from anxiety to freedom. And while most self-help authors tell you what to do, Jodi shows you, which we were just talking about, and I love. So welcome, Jodi, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Carmen. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. It's been a really exciting week, and thanks for all you've done. And yeah, that's so exciting to talk to you today. We're old friends, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
I know it is. So I have known Jodi for about 1.5 years, and we met at an event in California. And ever since, we've just been friends, right? Masterminding together, talking. And really, I've been watching her launch her book, which has been so exciting to me. I have a book coming out in a few months that I've been sharing about, but we've kind of been walking on this journey together, wanting to write a book and get out there and speak more about our mission and our passions. So thank you so much for writing this book. It was amazing.
Thank you so much for reading it. That is just such an honor to me, you know.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I was excited. I got a copy a couple weeks ago, and I still bought a couple of copies for some of my clients who I think can really use this information. And one of the things I was sharing with Jodi before we started the recording was how much I appreciated the how-to. You know, we've all been there where we see all these amazing things online and people are like, just forgive and let go. And you're like, yes, I want to do that. How? Well, in this book, Jodi shares that with us. She shows us how to, and not just one way. There were so many different tips and strategies, and not just that, but you showed us the trickery of anxiety and how it shows up in life, which again, I didn't even realize I had anxiety until I was like in my 40s. So again, thank you. I didn't know how to label it, and reading your book really helped me kind of go backward and see how it all built up. So all of that is so, so important. So I have a few questions with you. You know, again, clearly I love the book. I couldn't get enough of it. I devoured it over 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
So what was the pulling force in telling the story? Like, why did you want to get it out there?
Well, you know, I suffered. You know, I open up about my own history in the book and how I suffered and how intense I suffered. And that I just had this determination, like it's just no life to live when you're having anxiety and panic. And like you said, you know, some people don't know they have anxiety. You know, they say that 1 in 4 Americans have anxiety, but I think it's much more than that. We just call it all kinds of different things, you know, but it's obstacles in our life, and it does cause us to feel heavy and stalled and all those things that we really don't want to feel. You know, they keep us from having a really happy and vital life. And that's what I wanted when I was really struggling, and my panic was intense, and I had really intense anxiety and panic attacks. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this to my family. I can't do this to my husband. I just can't live like this any longer. It was so awful. And so I was so determined to get myself better. And I did. I mean, it took me a while, but I worked really, really hard. And then as a psychotherapist, I used those same things that I learned for myself with a lot of people. And when you're a therapist, you're in a room with somebody, for 1 hour, and then you got 8 people a day, and you could help 8 people. And so several years ago, I started blogging, and I said, I got to, and a lot of my clients are like, you got to write a book, and this is so amazing. And so I decided to start blogging because maybe I could touch more people than just 8 people a day. Maybe I could share that message with more people. And I became, I started speaking, I started writing, and I started doing video blogs to reach more people. But what's so amazing, and I'm so glad that I did the book, because I'm not a writer, I never identified myself as a writer. I do now, but obviously, I did the book. The impact of a book is incredible. I've been blogging for 8 years. And in 2 days, it's been 2 days since the book's been out, when we're recording this right now, I've hit more people in 2 days with a book than I hit in 8 years blogging and video blogging. So it's just amazing. It's an amazing medium to reach a lot of people. So I'm so glad that I took this journey. I just felt called to write it, get that down on paper. I had so many stories. I have so many stories for myself and so many clients, and I think that's what touches people the most who've read it already.
I think you're right.
And there's an intimacy in a book. You could have it. People have your book in their bedroom. What is, you're welcome in this most private, intimate place, and then they're open to listening because they're, safe and calm and relaxed at that point. And so you really could change your lives when they open themselves up to you like that. It's amazing.
That's true. I never thought of it that way, but I like that thought. You're right. Or take it, where else are you the most vulnerable? But in your own room, that's your safe space. Right? Oh, I love that.
And what an honor to be welcome in that space for people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's been some forethought before, before that book ended up on that nightstand and they decided to read it that night. You're right. I didn't even think of that before.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is the biggest takeaway you'd like people to have from reading this book? What would you like them to carry with them?
It's hard to just name one, but there's a few. So I want people to know that they're not alone. That's just the most important, because anxiety makes us feel so separate. It makes us feel so different than everyone else because it's so invisible. And so you see everybody out there and they all look fine, and you feel like you're crazy inside your head, but really they're all everyone's got the insecurity. Everybody's struggling. Everyone's worried what other people think about them. Everybody is scared of the future in some way, or scared of something. And so I want people to know that they're not alone, really, first and foremost.
I love that. Yeah, that's so important. I can tell you, that's always my thing. And I say to my community all the time, you are not alone. You're not alone. There's billions of people now on earth, and there is nothing you're going through that no one else is going through. And unfortunately, we hide in so much shame. So yeah, I love that. So
yeah, and I'm hoping that helps people get rid of shame, because that is another huge goal of this book, is to help people let go of the shame of having fears. I explain why people have anxiety, and that kind of lets them off the hook a little bit, because when we put ourselves on the hook, when we blame ourselves for anxiety, it just perpetuates anxiety. Right. The more we think we're inadequate or weak or messed up because we have anxiety or we have fear or we have some obstacles in our life, the more we don't trust ourselves. And the less we trust ourselves, the less we think we'll be able to handle things, and the more anxiety could come in really heavy and strong on us. So that's a really important message for me to give people, not to hold on to that shame, and to really kind of forgive themselves for having anxiety, because then they're not as vulnerable anymore.
Yeah, and I think when you're understanding, and I think that's one thing that your book really did so well for me, is understanding the physiological response that my body is going through, and then attach it to the emotion. Because once I understood how those related, I definitely felt more empowered.
Yeah, people tell me they've been to psychiatrists for 13 years and nobody ever told them this stuff.
Yeah, nobody.
I mean, we know from science class, when we were young that like the fight response. So we know that there's adrenaline if but we still are beating ourselves up. We're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. So I clarify all that. I help people understand where we're triggered, why we're triggered, because people think anxiety comes out of the blue, and it doesn't. And so if we knew why we were triggered and where we're triggered and how our brain's working, different parts of our brain are communicating to each other, man, it could change everything. It changes the whole game. And it's really helped people change their lives almost overnight sometimes, just having that information.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. So tell me, how do you control anxiety today? I mean, do you still have bouts with your anxiety? And if so, what's your favorite way of dealing with that?
Well, yeah, of course, I mean, we have this biological fear response, and I never want to get rid of that. And so it does, when I feel a little vulnerable or don't get enough sleep or don't take care of myself really well, I feel a little susceptible, like I could start to feel the adrenaline in my body of that stress. And so I have to take action right away. I take a step back from the situation and look at it, a little bit from a detached view. And I talk about this in my book and explain how to do it. But I see the anxiety as outside of myself, not as part of me. It's not a truth. Like when it says, oh no, oh no, it's going to be a bad night. As soon as it says that, I know that that's a voice of anxiety, and I kind of take a step back and be like, okay, so anxiety's here. What's happening? I must not be taking care of myself. See, I'm not afraid of it anymore. Anxiety needs you to be afraid of it. And so once I could not be afraid of it, not let it just take me over. I mean, anxiety wants our attention. It's going to do whatever it can to get our attention. It's going to make it sound really bad and, really intense. And we have to pay attention to it right now. And if you say, oh, okay, that's anxiety. It came back tonight. There's a lot of reasons for that. I could figure them out. But if I'm not afraid, it does not come. It can't. It has no power. There's no power over me at all.
Yeah, you busted through the illusion of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the biggest tactics of anxiety is like to have us think that it's the truth, or have it think that it's us, like I'm protecting you, or I'm, you have to listen to me because, you might get hurt. None of that's true. It's all lies. And it's pretty evasive. Like you were saying before, it's great to see something. Like we have problems all the time and they really affect our lives. And if we don't see them, we can't do anything about it. But we're still suffering. And so if we could see them for what they are, what those obstacles are, then we could do something about it.
Yeah.
So in my book, I totally expose anxiety from every angle. So it can't hide and be evasive and sneak around or pretend it's you anymore. You see it for what it is, and it empowers you. It disempowers anxiety and it empowers you.
Yeah, which is what we want, right?
Exactly.
So is there like because like me, I didn't know I had anxiety. Like what's the one thing that we need to just kind of look out for in us so that we can recognize it? Because again, I didn't recognize what I was experiencing as anxiety. And when I was reading the book, I was like, oh, that was anxiety. I didn't even know.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, we could call it so many different things, but even a discomfort, even if we're uncomfortable, it's like anytime we want to be other than where we are. So it could be discomfort, or it could be as intense as a desperation, or it could be, discontentment. Anything like that is really, it's a stress, right? So the hormones for stress are the same hormones for anxiety. It's like when we're uncomfortable, our body knows discomfort as like if something's off in our world, then we may be biologically threatened. And so it's going to release those stress hormones. So we think about stress and then we think about anxiety as two different things. The exact same thing is happening physiologically. And one might be more intense. I mean, people call it different things. So stress could be just as intense for somebody. It could be just as intense as anxiety for somebody else. But we just label it all these stuff. But, I mean, I've been talking to people about their problems for over 20 years in my work. And when I unpack the problems, because I do this with every problem, you kind of get you unpack it, you expose it, you want to really look at it from all angles and get all kinds of perspectives. And when I do that, I call it unpacking, because it's like so constructed, our problems. And so we kind of break it down to like the parts, and there's always fear behind everything. And so after 20 years of interviewing people about their problems and fears behind all of it, then we know like there's only one problem in the world. We're afraid we're inadequate. We're afraid we're not loved. We're afraid we're vulnerable. We're afraid that we're separate. And it's a really powerful problem, obviously, that it's behind everything else.
Well,
and
it is.
Yeah, so it's like, is 1 in 4 people have anxiety? Or like, are we all like, this is what we're all here for, like trying to find out how to be happy or manage our lives, and all wondering if we're worthy and stuff. And so this is what we're all kind of dealing with. And so I'm hoping my book really has 100% audience out there, because, but not everyone identifies with anxiety.
Right.
We use all different words, but anyway, so I really appreciate that you said that you like the book so much, because I don't consider you a person who, has, like anxiety, like quote anxiety, but.
So can you tell me, and we're about to wrap this up, and one thing that I want to know, because now you've written an inspirational book that I know is going to help people heal and move forward. I want to know what's inspiring you today, what's going on today, and where do you think this conversation is going? Because I think it's a very good conversation to have, and I could see it going further.
Yeah, I hope, thank you for that. I hope that what inspires me today is really the outside. I love nature. I'm a nature girl, and I love being outside. And it's just like, I don't know. I have a few acres around me, and so I just am constantly inspired by the wildlife outside. And I feel like that has been such a part of helping me recover from anxiety, spending some time outside and taking a walk outside and watching the wildlife. But so that really inspires me. That's where I really go to get energy when I need it. But I think this conversation about anxiety, I want to really change the way people think about stress and anxiety. I really want to change the way we think about it, because, I'm watching people online, and there is such a, the body of knowledge about anxiety is really different than how I've come to understand it. And so when I tell people my way of seeing it, they're so excited and relieved that there's another way to see it, and that gives them a lot of hope. And I guess that's what I'm really interested in. I'm really interested in inspiring hope and letting people know that there is happiness after pain and problems. Like after you've had trauma in your life, if you've had really horrible things happen to you, there is possible happiness after that. It's not a life sentence. And I think we have to get that message out there. And the biggest, most important thing for people to do is stop judging themselves, right? Get rid of that shame. And I don't think a lot of people, maybe even if they're talking about it, like the letting go and everything, they're not telling you how.
Yeah.
Right. And, I think a huge part of our suffering is that our minds continue to question. So something happens to us, and if it doesn't make sense, our mind wants an answer. We need to make order really fast. Okay, so say you put someone in the woods. Nature is really chaotic. And stressful situations are very chaotic too. And so if you put a person in the woods and they sit there for a while, and you say, stay under this tree. And so they sit there for a while, they're going to like stack rocks up, and they're going to put sticks in a row, because we need to like create some kind of order in the chaos around ourselves. And so when we experience chaos in our lives, we try to make order of that as fast as we can. And the easiest way to do that is blame. And mostly we blame ourselves. Sometimes we blame someone else. But most of the time, actually, we go back and forth. And so we blame the other person and blame ourselves. Is it me? Is it him? Did I do that? Did I cause this? Why did they do that to me? Did I cause this? And that back and forth creates just more chaos.
Right.
So we're so stressed out, and our mind just continues to question and question and question. And in this book, I tell people how to stop that. First of all, I show them why that's happening, which nobody knows, and then I show them how to stop it, how to exactly make your mind stop questioning, like how to define something and then be done with it, and then, make sense of it. And so that you can finally move on and move past and not have that stress in your life anymore.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for agreeing to doing this video, and I look forward to sharing it with everyone.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? Share your information.
Well, okay, yeah. My website's jodiaman.com, Jodiaman. I hang out on all social media with that name, Jodi Aman. You can find me everywhere. And my book is called You Won, and let me hold it up.
Yes.
One Anxiety Zero, win your freedom back from fear and panic to keep calm in a crazy world, because our world seems pretty crazy a lot of the time. And so I wanted to address that. But so you could find it on any online store if you want.
Awesome. I would show my copy, but it was digital and it doesn't look the same on a Kindle.
I know,
but it's
right?
all good. Well, thank you so much. This is Carmen Perez signing off. Until next time, take care of you and live with passion, purpose, and play.
Thank you. Mwah.